I thought wedding planning would be filled with laughter, love, and happy tears. Instead, I stood frozen in the fitting room of Mirabella's bridal boutique, staring at a stranger's dress that hung where mine should have been. The elegant lace sleeves I'd fallen in love with, the champagne satin that made me feel like royalty gone. In its place was a stiff, overly ornate gown that looked like it belonged in a magazine ad, not on me. And the tag hanging from the neckline confirmed my worst fear. This wasn't a mistake. Daniel, my fiancé, the man I trusted more than anyone, had changed my wedding dress. Without asking me. Without even telling me. My name is Emily Parker, and I'm 28 years old. I thought I had my life together. I'd spent years building a career I was proud of in marketing, saving money, and dreaming of a love story worthy of a fairy tale. Daniel walked into my life 3 years ago, and he was everything I thought I wanted. Confident, charming, and endlessly supportive, or so I believed. We got engaged a year ago, and when he slipped that diamond ring on my finger, I truly thought my future was secure. I had no idea that our engagement would become a maze of compromises, small arguments, and subtle power struggles I didn't even notice at first. But nothing prepared me for this moment. I ran my hands over the fabric of the dress that wasn't mine, my fingers trembling. It felt cold and impersonal, a stark contrast to the warmth I'd felt when I first found the one. That dress had made me cry happy tears. This one made me feel small. "Emily, are you ready to try it on?" A cheerful boutique employee called through the curtain. Not yet," I managed, my voice cracking. I quickly swiped at the corner of my eyes, willing myself not to break down in front of a stranger. I'd been looking forward to this day for months, the final fitting of my dream wedding gown. My mom was supposed to come with me, but she'd woken up with a migraine, so I told her to rest, confident that nothing could ruin this. I'd been wrong. My phone buzzed in my purse. I snatched it up, hoping for an explanation from Daniel. "Daniel, fiancé, did you see it yet?" "Me see what?" "Daniel, the dress. I made some changes. It's perfect now. You'll thank me later." My breath caught in my throat. Changes? Perfect now. The audacity of those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Perfect now. Those two words kept echoing in my mind as I slipped into the dress, mostly because I didn't know what else to do. The shop attendant helped me zip it up, complimenting how elegant it looked, but I felt like I was drowning in heavy fabric. The sleeves were puffed and suffocating, the neckline was far too low for my comfort, and the fit around my waist was tighter than I'd ever agreed to. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, trying not to cry. This wasn't me. This wasn't my dress. And it wasn't just about the gown, it was about control. About Daniel making a decision that should have been mine. I first met Daniel at a friend's birthday dinner. He was the kind of guy who could walk into any room and command attention without even trying. His laugh was contagious, his smile disarming. That night, he bought me a drink, and we ended up talking for hours about travel, books, and future dreams. Back then, I thought his confidence was sexy. I loved how decisive he was. He knew the best restaurants, the best vacation spots, and he always seemed to know what to say. Looking back now, I realize I mistook control for confidence. When we started wedding planning, I brushed off his strong opinions as him caring deeply. He had a say in every detail, the color scheme, the menu, even the song list. "I just want it to be perfect for us," he'd always say. And I wanted him to feel involved, so I went along with most of it. But the dress? That was supposed to be mine. My safe space in this whirlwind of decisions. My dream gown was something I chose with my mom and best friend. A simple yet elegant design with delicate lace sleeves and a soft champagne tone that complemented my skin. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic. It was me. And now this. "Do you want me to bring in your fiancé for feedback?" the attendant asked, smiling politely. "No," I said quickly, almost too sharply. "No, I'm good. Thank you." She nodded and left me alone, and I sank onto the plush fitting room bench, my hands clutching the skirt like it might disappear if I let go. I opened my messages again. "Me. Why would you change my dress without asking me?" "Daniel, because I know you, Em. You always play it safe. This is your one chance to go all out. Trust me. You'll look stunning. Trust me." That phrase had started to feel like a warning lately, but I couldn't pinpoint when it shifted. I changed back into my clothes and stepped out of the fitting room, handing the dress back to the attendant. "Could you put this back for now?" I asked. "Of course. Would you like us to bring in the original gown for comparison?" she offered. I felt tears prick my eyes. "If you can, I'd appreciate that." She left to check, and I sat there in the boutique, scrolling through photos of the day I first tried on the original dress. My mom had cried. I'd felt radiant. I'd felt in control. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about a dress. This was about something much deeper. The drive home felt heavy, my phone buzzing with Daniel's messages every few minutes. "Daniel, don't be mad. I just wanted the best for us." "Daniel," I talked to Sophie, his sister. She thinks the new one suits you better. Daniel, you'll thank me. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. Sophie had always been vocal about her opinions, and Daniel often deferred to her. She'd once joked that I wasn't stylish enough for Daniel, and I'd laughed it off, but now I wondered if she'd influenced this too. I parked outside our apartment and sat there for a long time, staring at the engagement ring on my finger. Was this what marriage with Daniel would be like? Him making decisions for me, for my own good? That evening, when Daniel walked in from work, he was grinning like he'd just solved a major problem. So, you saw it, right? He hung up his coat and kissed my cheek like everything was fine. Yeah, I saw it, I said quietly. And I turned to him, my voice shaking. Why would you do that? Why would you go behind my back and change the one thing that was mine? His grin faltered. Come on. I just wanted to surprise you. Surprise me? This is my wedding dress, Daniel. My choice. You're overreacting, he said with a dismissive wave. It's just a dress. Just a dress. The words slammed into me like a freight train. If it's just a dress, then why did you change it? I snapped, my anger finally bubbling over. He ran a hand through his hair, clearly irritated. Because I wanted you to look amazing. You play it too safe, Em. This is supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. I wanted you to shine. And you didn't think I'd shine in the dress I loved? Silence filled the room. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, while Daniel slept soundly beside me. For the first time since we got engaged, I felt doubt gnawing at my heart. Was I marrying someone who didn't respect me enough to let me make my own choices? I thought about calling my mom, but I couldn't bring myself to. Not yet. I wasn't ready to admit that my perfect fiancé had crossed a line I didn't know existed. The next morning, I called the boutique and asked them to hold my original gown. And for the first time, I started questioning everything. Our wedding, our relationship, and whether Daniel's confidence was really just control in disguise. I couldn't stop thinking about the look on Daniel's face when I confronted him about the dress. That smug mix of irritation and self-satisfaction haunted me as I sat in my car outside the boutique the next morning, my coffee growing cold in the cup holder. It wasn't just about the gown anymore. It was about what it represented. Every moment I'd let him take the lead, every decision I'd compromised on, because I thought that was what good fiancés did. And now I wasn't sure if I was planning a wedding or walking myself into a cage. When I first met Daniel, I would have laughed at the idea of him being controlling. He was so attentive, so charming, always putting me at ease. I remember the first time we went out alone, after our friends introduced us at that birthday dinner. He'd chosen a trendy little Italian place downtown, the kind with low lighting and expensive wine. You'll love it here, he'd said confidently, as if he knew me better than I knew myself. I'd been impressed. I'd spent my early 20s dating men who couldn't even pick a restaurant without asking for my opinion 20 times. Daniel was decisive, and back then, I found that attractive. That night, he'd ordered for both of us, something I thought was bold at the time. You'll love this pasta, he'd said, and he wasn't wrong. But I hadn't noticed the first red flag. He hadn't asked what I wanted. Back in the present, I gripped the steering wheel tightly, staring through the boutique window. The assistant, a sweet girl named Mia, had promised she'd pull my original gown from storage. I was desperate to see it again, to remind myself of why I'd fallen in love with it. Maybe if I could stand in that gown again, I'd remember who I was before Daniel's opinions started feeling like orders. Inside, the boutique smelled like fresh roses and fabric softener. I was greeted warmly by Mia, who led me to a private fitting room. Your original gown is ready, she said with a smile. I thought you might want a little privacy, so I brought you to our quiet room. Thank you, I whispered, touched by her kindness. When I slipped into my dress, I felt like I could breathe again. The soft lace sleeves hugged my arms just right, and the flowing skirt felt weightless compared to the stiff monstrosity Daniel had chosen. My reflection in the mirror wasn't just a bride-to-be, it was me. Emily, the woman who had saved for this gown, who had chosen it because it made her feel beautiful, not because someone else said she would look stunning in it. I almost cried out of relief. Wow, you look incredible, Mia said softly. This really suits you. Thank you, I said, my voice thick with emotion. I took out my phone and snapped a few pictures, sending one to my mom. This is the dress. This is the one I love. Mom, sweetheart, you look like an angel. Don't let anyone change your mind. Her response made me tear up. My mom had always been my rock, and I knew she'd sensed something was wrong lately. I'd brushed off her concerns about Daniel's pushy behavior, telling her he was just passionate about the wedding. But now, I wasn't so sure. Later that afternoon, I met up with my best friend Rachel for coffee. She was the kind of friend who could smell drama from a mile away, and she didn't disappoint. He what? Rachel nearly spat out her latte when I told her. He changed your dress? Without asking? Emily, that's insane. I sighed, stirring my coffee absent-mindedly. I know. But he keeps saying it's because he wants me to look perfect. Rachel raised an eyebrow. And what about what you want? This isn't just about a dress. This is weird. I slumped in my seat. I know. I keep thinking maybe I'm overreacting. Rachel leaned forward, her expression softening. You've always been so independent. I've never seen you let someone steamroll you like this. And Daniel, he's been making all the decisions, hasn't he? Her words stung because they were true. The venue had been his pick. My parents love this country club. The color scheme? His suggestion. Even the menu had been mostly his choices, despite my protests about including my favorite dish. I'd convinced myself I was just being a chill bride, that I was avoiding unnecessary conflict. But in reality, I was losing myself in this relationship. That night, when I got home, Daniel was sitting at the kitchen counter, scrolling on his phone. You didn't answer my texts, he said casually, not looking up. I was busy, I replied, slipping off my coat. With what? I took a deep breath. I went to see my original dress today. Daniel's head snapped up. You what? I tried it on again, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And I love it. That's the dress I'm wearing. His face darkened. Emily, I already told you, that other dress is better for you. No, I said firmly. That dress is what you want. Not me. I'm wearing the dress I chose. The silence that followed was deafening. Daniel slammed his phone down on the counter. Why are you being so difficult? I'm just trying to make sure this wedding is perfect. I felt tears welling up in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Daniel, it's not your wedding alone. It's ours. And if you can't respect my choices about something as personal as my dress, what does that say about our future? He glared at me, his jaw clenched. You're being dramatic. I turned away, my hands trembling. Maybe. Or maybe I'm finally seeing things clearly. That night, I called my mom. I poured out everything. The dress, Daniel's dismissive attitude, the way I felt like I was constantly compromising to keep the peace. Sweetheart, my mom said gently. Do you hear yourself? This isn't just about a dress. It's about control. And if this is how he treats you before the wedding. She trailed off, but I understood her implication. I sat on the edge of my bed, my heart pounding. My mom was right. Rachel was right. This wasn't about a gown. This was about respect. And I wasn't sure Daniel respected me at all. Over the next few days, things between us became tense. Daniel acted like nothing was wrong, making cheerful conversation about the seating chart and honeymoon plans, but I felt the undercurrent of anger in his tone. At one point, he even brought up his sister Sophie's opinion again. Sophie agrees with me, he said as we sat at dinner. She says that dress makes you look plain. My fork clattered against my plate. Excuse me? I'm just saying what she said. And why does Sophie get to decide what I look like on my wedding day? Daniel rolled his eyes. You're twisting my words. That night, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, feeling like I didn't recognize myself anymore. I was always so sure of myself, so independent. Yet here I was, doubting everything because my fiancé couldn't respect a simple choice. I wasn't ready to make any decisions yet, but I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't love. Not the way I imagined it. And for the first time, I started wondering if I was making a mistake marrying him at all. The tension in our apartment was suffocating. Every day felt like I was walking on eggshells, careful not to spark another argument. Daniel acted like everything was normal, but I could feel his frustration simmering beneath the surface. I'd caught him scrolling through wedding magazines late at night, muttering about how ungrateful I was under his breath. We hadn't talked about the dress again, not directly. But every word between us was tinged with that unspoken conflict. I'd started spending more time at my mom's house, claiming I was helping her with errands. But really, I just needed space. Space to think. Space to remember who I was before all of this. And deep down, I knew a confrontation was coming. The day it finally happened, I woke up early, the sun barely rising through our bedroom window. Daniel was already dressed for work, his tie perfectly knotted, his expression unreadable. You're up early, I said softly. I have a meeting, he replied, his tone clipped. We need to finalize the florist today. Don't forget. I nodded, but my chest tightened. I'd been putting off all the final wedding decisions because I felt paralyzed. How could I pick flowers when I wasn't even sure I wanted to walk down the aisle anymore? As he grabbed his keys, I took a deep breath. Daniel, we need to talk. He froze, his back to me. About what? About us. About the wedding. About everything. He turned slowly, his expression sharp. I don't have time for this right now. Make time, I said firmly, surprising even myself with the strength in my voice. He sighed, loosening his tie, and sat on the edge of the bed. What is it, Emily? Are we really still talking about that stupid dress? It's not about the dress, I said, my voice trembling. It's about the fact that you didn't even think to ask me. You made a decision for me about something that was mine. And when I told you I didn't like it, You dismissed me like I was overreacting. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. I just wanted you to look your best. Is that so wrong? Yes, it is, when it means you get to decide what's best for me. I snapped. This isn't love, Daniel. Love is respect. Love is listening. And lately, I feel like I don't have a voice in this relationship at all. He looked genuinely stunned for a moment, like he couldn't comprehend that I'd stood up to him. You're being dramatic. You always take things too seriously. No, Daniel, I said, my voice breaking. I think I've been ignoring things for too long. I thought you were just confident. I thought you just cared about making this wedding perfect. But this isn't about perfection. It's about control. Control. He scoffed. I've done everything for you, Emily. Everything. I've planned this wedding. No, I interrupted, tears streaming down my face now. You planned this wedding for yourself. For your family. For Sophie. For everyone but me. I'm supposed to be the bride, Daniel, but I feel like a prop. His face hardened. So what, you're calling off the wedding? The words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. Calling off the wedding. It sounded so final, so dramatic, like I'd be throwing away 3 years of my life. But as I stood there, watching the man I thought I loved glare at me like I was an inconvenience, I realized something terrifying. I'd already lost myself in this relationship. If I went through with the wedding, I'd lose myself completely. I don't know, I whispered. But I can't marry someone who doesn't respect me. Daniel stood abruptly, grabbing his suit jacket. Fine. You know what? Do whatever you want. I'm done arguing. He slammed the door behind him, leaving me shaking. I sank to the floor, hugging my knees to my chest, and sobbed until I couldn't cry anymore. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, and I reached for it, desperate for comfort. It was my mom. Sweetheart, she said gently when I answered. Mom, I whispered, my voice cracking. I don't think I can marry him. There was a pause, then a deep sigh. I've been waiting for you to say that. Come home, Emily. Just come home. That evening, I packed a bag. Daniel hadn't come home yet, and I didn't leave a note. I couldn't find the words to explain to him what he'd taken from me. My trust, my voice, my joy for what should have been one of the happiest times of my life. As I drove to my mom's house, I felt a strange mix of grief and relief. Grief for the future I'd imagined, and relief that I was finally choosing myself. Over the next few days, I stayed with my mom and Rachel. They rallied around me, helping me make calls to vendors and cancel wedding plans. Some people judged me, of course. Daniel's family was furious, and Sophie sent me a string of nasty messages. But I didn't care. For the first time in months, I felt free. And then, one afternoon, I went back to Mirabella's boutique to pick up my original dress. Mia greeted me with a soft smile. You look lighter, she said as she handed me the garment bag. I feel lighter, I admitted. I took the dress home and hung it in my closet, not because I planned to wear it anytime soon, but because it represented something important. It was a reminder that I'd chosen myself, that I'd found the courage to walk away from someone who didn't see me as an equal. Weeks later, Daniel reached out. He wanted to talk, to explain himself. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him for coffee. He looked different, tired, defeated. Emily, I'm sorry, he said quietly. I never meant to hurt you. I know, I said softly. But you did. And I can't marry someone who thinks they know me better than I know myself. He nodded, his eyes downcast. For the first time, he didn't try to argue. We parted ways that day, and I felt at peace. Looking back now, I realized that dress wasn't just a dress. It was a symbol of everything I'd been ignoring. The control, the subtle manipulation, the way I'd shrunk myself to fit into Daniel's world. But I'm not that woman anymore. I'm Emily Parker. I'm strong. I'm independent. And one day, when I walk down the aisle, it'll be in a dress I chose for myself, not because someone else thought it would make me perfect, but because it makes me feel like me. And that's the only choice that ever really mattered. Emily's story reminds us that love without respect isn't love at all. She walked away from a man who tried to control her, and chose herself instead. What would you do if your partner made such a decision behind your back? Let us know in the comments below.